Hey, what is going on guys? In this video we're doing comparison of the Samsung Galaxy Note 4 up against the Note 5, and I will be answering the question, is it worth the upgrade? Now it might not be a big deal to some people, but it is to me, and I'm sure to others, but the notification light be somewhat visible. Now the white phone is the Note 4, and you will notice that the notification light is a little bit more difficult to see than it is on the Note 5. In regards to size, there's hardly any difference at all, as millimeters in difference you can't see with the naked eye, and even when holding both devices in the hand, there's only a few grams difference, you can't tell the weight difference, but the Note 5 is technically lighter and smaller. Now in regards to holding it, the Note 4 is somewhat okay, but you have this rugged plastic back, whereas the Note 5 feels better because you have this polished smooth glass backing. And of course the edges at the back, you notice a bit more curved on the Note 5, which feels more natural to hold in the hand than the Note 4. Now when choosing which is the better looking device, it's all a matter of personal preference. Personally, I don't find anything too wrong with the Note 4, despite it being last year's model, it looks pretty okay. And even though the Note 5 looks almost similar to the Note 4 model, it's just a bit more better looking with that polished glass and metal design. Now it shouldn't come as much as a surprise, as both devices have some of the top screens on a cell phone you can find currently in the market, even the Note 4, because both devices have the same screen type. They're both 2K displays, or 1440p if you want to call it. They both have Super AMOLED display, and of course they both have the same approximate PPI. Both of them have stunning colors, stunning brightness levels, and of course they have some fantastic viewing angles. You're getting some great displays, but are equal on both devices. But even though both of them have a 5.7-inch display, because the Note 5 has almost no bezels, it makes the screen look bigger than it actually is. Now moving on to the topic of storage, this is where things actually tend to differ a little bit. You see, the Note 4 only has a 32GB internal storage option model, but it has a micro SD card slot which supports up to an external 128GB. However, the Note 5 is lacking in this department a lot. You see, the Note 5 is available in 32, 64GB of internal storage, but there's no micro SD card slot. You're quite limited there. Another physical design downgrade on the Note 5 compared to the Note 4 is that you can't access the battery. On the Note 4 you can swap the batteries out, the Note 5 you can't because it's a sealed body. Even with the RAM, yes, as you expect, there's a little bit of a difference here. The Note 4 is rocking 3GB of RAM, which is actually a little bit overkill, but a lot of it is used for exclusive Samsung features like the Pen Stylus, whereas the Note 5 has a crazy amount of 4 whopping gigs of RAM. It is seriously overkill, but you know what? If they included it, I'm not going to complain. And to re-demonstrate how that 4 gigs of RAM works on the Note 5, take a look at how many apps I have open at the same time. No Android device comes even close to this, including the Nexus 6. But generally though, when it comes to true multitasking, both the Note 4 and the Note 5 perform equally when it comes to their multi-window function. This is something that Samsung still does the best, and despite the Note 4 being older, it performs equally as the Note 5 when using this function. And moving over to the processing power, it's pretty much the same story here. The Galaxy Note 4, despite being from last year, is still seriously overkill. Both devices are running an octa-core processor, but they're just overkill for today's standards. Even the Note 4 can still last you a few good years when playing the top graphic Android games, which in my opinion is the best way to really push a cell phone to its maximum performance, because you're pushing the screen capability, the processor, and the GPU to the max potential, but they both perform wicked awesome. For connectivity, both devices are pretty much the same. They both support GPS, Wi-Fi, NFC chip, Bluetooth, so on and so forth. But there's a little bit of a difference here. But both devices do support Miracast, as you guys are seeing demonstrated with the Note 5. Now the difference that I mentioned is of course the IR blaster, which I mentioned before. The Note 4 has a built-in remote control for your various home theater devices. The Note 5, unfortunately, it has been removed. Samsung basically said that not many people use that function, so we're just not going to include it, which it kind of sucks, but I do have to agree, even myself as a tech enthusiast, I don't really use it that often. So both devices are capable of recording in 4K, which is 2160p. And what you guys are seeing now is audio and video being recorded with the Samsung Galaxy Note 4. And this time I switched over to the Galaxy Note 5, which actually provides the same amount of quality. Both of them have a 16 megapixel rear shooter, and both of them provide the same stunning quality and color pop. And this level of camera quality actually carries over to the still pictures, in which auto mode works great, and also the various other functions exclusive to Samsung phones like the Note 4 and the Note 5. The quality is superb and still one of the best you can find on a smartphone. And what you guys are seeing right now is audio and video being recorded with the front-facing camera of the Note 5. It has a front-facing 5 megapixel camera, whereas the Note 4 has a 3.7 front-facing camera. Both of them record in 1440p, which I think is just to match the resolution of the screen though. Despite them being recorded in 1440p, the screen, like the capture quality is okay. It's not as good as some standalone cameras that record in 1080p, It's just an alright average camera for a front-facing shooter, but better than most others on the market for a smartphone. Okay, so in this portion I'm going to do my usual speaker test. I'm now using the camera microphone, and I have a YouTube video playing in both phones. It's the exact same YouTube video from my YouTube channel. It's actually a review video of the Galaxy Note 5. You can find a link to that in the video description. And both phones are on max volume. Now I'm going to lift the Note 4 up just a little bit because its speaker is actually on the rear side, whereas the speaker for the Note 5 is actually just over here. So let's start with the Note 4. Just give you guys a quick sample. To get it out, you have to simply press in and it pops back out, which is new to this version. It's never been done before. And to simply get it back in, all you have to do is push it in all the way and it clips and snaps right back into its slot. And the Note 5. To get it out, you have to simply press in and it pops back out, which is new to this version. It's never been done before. And to simply get it back in, all you have to do is push it in all the way and it clips. So despite me even lifting the phone of the Note 4 up, with the bounce back off the desk, I still notice that the clarity and the noise level is a little bit louder on the Note 5. Its speakers is slightly better. Despite the Note 5 speaker being a little bit better than the Note 4, there's something interesting to keep note of here. Get it? Get it? No, never mind. Is that when watching a video or playing a video game, it's rather easy to cover up the speaker by accident. Observe. Person, I just can't get over how great it is. Despite having an OLED display, I would have liked a bit more color pop from it, but generally the color pop is okay. Just would have been nice if it was a little bit more. Moving along though, in terms of just general viewing angles, so the Note 4 has a 3220 mAh battery, and the Note 5 has been downgraded just a little bit to 3000 milliamps, but I've noticed the battery performance is almost the same. This is probably due to the fact that the Note 5 software has been optimized a lot better. Generally, with some moderate to heavy usage, I can get more than a day, close to a day and a half battery with both devices. Both of them also have power saving modes, 2 power saving modes at that. They both also support fast recharging. We can recharge about half the battery in about 40 minutes. But the Note 5 has an advantage with wireless charging, fast wireless charging at that in fact. The software interface for both devices are somewhat similar as you expect. They're both running TouchWiz out of the box, and there are some subtle differences. App presentation and the app drawer is more or less the same. The notification drawer is slightly different, as you'll notice. You do have the S Finder Quick Connect buttons missing from the Note 5 because you have the ability to finally remove it. It took Samsung almost, 3 years to figure that out? But yeah, they finally included it. For the most part, it's almost the exact same thing in terms of the software interface. Even moving over to the system settings menu, things are more or less the same. You'll notice that the Note 5 presentation is a little bit smaller in text size. But generally though, when it comes to the Pen Stylus, which is one of the most important functions of the device, the Note 4 has a slide out. You have to basically bring your nail in and slide it out, and when activating the S Pen menu, you can pretty much activate it anywhere on the screen where your cursor is hovering. This has actually been changed a little bit with the Note 5. To eject the S Pen Stylus, you actually press it in and then it pops out. And of course, when you activate the S Pen Air command window, it doesn't pop up exactly where you want it to. It pops up on the left or the right and it blurs the background of the screen. But some improvements is that you can add any shortcut app you want to the Air command window with the S Pen Stylus. Generally, both devices are running a clean version of TouchWiz, but the Note 5 version is a lot more cleaner and more fun to use, even more than stock Android in my opinion. Another exclusive feature both devices have is a heart rate sensor, which is just behind the device and below the flash, of course. And it works a lot better on the Note 5 than it does on the Note 4, but to find all the exclusive features for each device, be sure to check out their individual tips and tricks videos. You can find links to those videos and more, including the review videos and so on and so forth for each device in the video description. There's just way too many things each device can do to show in this one video. Not forgetting that these are both phones. Both of them perform pretty equal in terms of phone call quality. They're not great, they're not bad, they're just okay. So to wrap things up, things are very similar between the Note 4 and the Note 5, but some things are very different. Basically put, some people might be put off with the Note 4 because its hardware is almost a year old as of this video recording, but its performance is still over the top. The hardware is more than powerful to accomplish any task and play any top graphic Android game. Samsung well pushed over the top hardware into the device a year old, and it can still last a few years and hold its own. It also has some advantages. It has an IR blaster, the battery is accessible so you can swap it, it has a micro SD card slot. Now in many ways Samsung took the Note 4 and improved upon it. I mean, the body looks almost the same, but it does have some physical downgrades as I just mentioned, but it takes the improvement mostly into the software side of things. This is the cleanest version of TouchWiz I've ever seen. In fact, it's a bit more polished than that of the Galaxy S6, which only released about 4 or 5 months ago. Samsung has really made the Note 5 the cleanest version of TouchWiz to date, but still retaining all the core Note functions and of course all those exclusive cool Samsung functions. That's pretty much it. And of course I'm going to answer the question, if you have the Note 4, should you get the Note 5? Honestly, you could do without. There's not a huge improvement here. You might want to wait until the Note 6, but the Note 5 is still a pretty solid device. So with that said, be sure to check out my Facebook, Google+, Twitter, Instagram links also in the video description with all the Galaxy Note 4 and 5 video links. Be sure to hit that like button, it does help. Subscribe, and thanks for watching.